Greetings from Mystic in Camping Land. I'm going back to what the brain does at night. There's one good comment on the last video, and it brought up the generally held idea that brains at night do what we might call data processing. And I think we know that that's true, because we've been told it all our lives, and nobody's ever known enough to say, actually, I'm not really convinced. Well, I'm now saying, actually, I'm not really convinced. I think one of the main reasons that kind of makes the alarm go off for me is that it sounds so right. This is maybe a bit strange thing to say, but all the other type things that we talk about the brain, like free will and other things, seem so right. But when you really look into them, they're so wrong. And I think this data processing is wrong as well. Let's say probably wrong, because I've got no conviction on this. It's just mystic smelling doesn't like at all. And I think besides the mystic smelling of not liking the idea that it sounds right, on the other side, when we talk about free will, determinism's often talked about. I'm just going to drag that a bit closer or further away from those extremes and say, if we're talking about will, we talk about cause and effect. You see, it's not quite as extreme as free will and determinism, but we've got will and cause and effect, where if we talk about will, we still need something that's got the will and something that it's willing against, which never really sorts itself out. And on the other side is nothing that explains anything, cause and effect, but its cause and effect just sounds like the better place to start thinking about most anything, and brains being no exception. So along those lines, let's put the brain to sleep at night. We get the idea that we all like, or sounds good because we've always heard it, that then it goes into data processing mode. But why? And maybe even how, in fact, and how. The idea would be that the I, or some controlling aspect of the brain, says, okay, chop chop, he's asleep now, she's asleep now, time to do your homework, time to do the data processing. It just doesn't jive well with me. It doesn't sound right at all. I'll just go back and then come in again. I'll go back to evolution, and I can't see how this data processing thing would work in an evolutionary way. I would imagine that, because this will have grown up as the animal grows up through time, and I would imagine what sounds right to me is that all data processing will have been done on the fly. It will have been done at the time, at the moment, because the brain works so incredibly quickly, and I can see no reason why it should stock something away in a warehouse of, is it medium-term memory? It's certainly not short-term memory. Medium-term memory, to go back at night, to get it all out, sort through it, and do things with it. It doesn't sound evolutionarily sensible. And then come back in to the complications of it for the cause and effect. What is the cause and effect of Dodo, and then the brain going, all this medium-term memory data to process? How does it process it? Why does it process it? How does it know what to do with the data? It's meant to, the idea is something like it goes through the day's thinks and looks and hears and smells and sorts out what's good to remember, what's not good to remember. And it just sounds so tacky to me. It's one of those things that on first hearing, when you don't think about it, you go, oh yeah, the brain just goes through what it did in the day and it sorts it out, and dreams somehow help. And you go, well, I don't know any different, so okay. And I think people have done that for forever. And it's the same thing with dreams that are meant to even be projecting forward. Forget data processing from what's happened in the past, but then the brain's meant to go, oh Dodo, oh well, now we'll just run routines of invented things and that'll be helpful in some way. Again, it sounds right on a surface level, and I'm sure that's why people think it, because they haven't really thought about it. You need these causes and effects, which do happen in the brain, presumably, to make all this sort of thing happen. And I just don't see where the causes and effects are. It's almost like a God of the gaps. We don't know why. I don't think science didn't know last time I looked why people sleep, why people dream. So they make stuff up. It's not even that the modern scientists make stuff up, it's just that the old stuff from the times when people did make stuff up is still lying out there. So that's just how people accept it. They think, oh well, the brain goes in the past and does data processing of past things, or projects things into the future for working out how it would do something if the thing that happens in the dream happened to happen. It just doesn't add up and take away to me. I think that most all ideas about what sleep is and what dreams are just haven't really been thought through properly, and we're just, because we don't know how to think about it, are just accepting ideas that have been raised in the past, and know, because it's one of these non-scientific things, that we've got no great hammer to knock down the old wives' tales, pub talk sort of ideas, so they just stay out there. Everybody's in a state of unknowing about what it is, but mystically I just don't like the smell of the brain data processing just on its own at night, because it sounds good if there's a controlling entity that sorts things out and gets people to work and tells people where to put things in what boxes and how significant that is and how we're going to learn from it, etc, etc. But there isn't. It's just a brain with different parts doing different things, and all these are cause and effecty sort of things. And I can't see how cause and effecty kind of things, I've got just no idea how a cause and effecty sort of process is going to get any sort of efficient data processing done. Just when you're in Dodo land, I'm sure, yeah, I'd be pretty sure that it's all done on the fly while we're awake, all that sort of data processing and stuff. And I'll just throw the guess out that at night the dreaming and any thoughts that come are just undirected nonsense of no real use at all. But I do admit it is still a mystery why humans sleep and why humans dream, unless you know any better. Bye.